6 minutes after the hour of 6 o'clock. All those on our YouTube channel as we stream audio and video on all platforms. Thank you so much for joining us. Of course, on the show this morning, it's the Richards twins. We just heard from Paul Richards with our news brief. We'll have major news coming up at 7 o'clock with AV. We'll hear from Richard Raghubarising. We have Ruben. He's probably washing his car. My name is Steve Khan. We'll keep you company till 9 o'clock this morning. Getting straight into the WT. You see what's happening. Going to Santa Rosa as you head westbound on the CRH, you've got some traffic. Maloney to Piaco, Trin City towards Huey, heavy. By the interchange, you head westbound by just about Court before Barataria, volume, and just by Swim Call, you got some traffic there. Nothing out to the west except by Mocha, and for those coming out of Santa Cruz, taking the saddle, you've got some traffic there. Got nothing ready to tell you out in Southland as well, but from Charlieville heading northbound, you've got some traffic there. What's the weather going to be like for today? It's 26 degrees in our Twin Island Republic, and the Met Office is saying fair periods interrupted at times by partly cloudy conditions accompanied by some light to moderate showers in confined areas throughout the day. There's a low to medium chance some of these showers could become heavy and or thundery. Gusty wind, street and flash flooding can be expected in some areas. Riverine alert. Number 2 is out orange level. All right, it's mainly for the Southland. Of course, maximum forecast temp for today at Piaco will be 33, 31 at Crown Point. And of course, in Toronto right now, it is a sunny 12. Miami 25, Orlando 24, New York, you're at 17 and sunny. You're looking for a new police commissioner for the NYPD. Atlanta, you're at 16, London 24, Tampa 25, and Washington, you're at 15 degrees. All right, and that's you send us hellos via our mobile app or our website or our message board. What Ken E is missing? Yep, Maria Marva, you're first off the gate this morning. Followed by Trev in Arima, Garcia in Valencia, DJ Ray still in Delaware, Miss Ingrid out in Tucson, Arizona. Good morning to you, my dear. Oliver Man Warren, good morning to you. It's Tuesday. Yep, it's a Black Tuesday, the 13th day of June. D. Pierre, Wendy, and Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida. Good morning to you. CJ New York, Rena Budu Jennings, Carol Guevara, Ms. Maloney Dudu, good morning to you as well. All right. Of course, let me say good morning going out to Paul Richards. Good morning to you, my friend.
Morning, Steve. Morning, everyone.
Good Tuesday what's happening? What's happening?
Well, good morning to those of you in South and Central Trinidad who have had a difficult time the last 24, 36 hours. A lot of rain, a lot of flooding, rivers over and tributaries overflowing banks. I saw some videos. I don't know. It's really that's depressing.
Yeah, that's a lot of water. Orange level is still in effect, but you know, my heart really goes out for those kids that have exams and unable. Some of them.
What have you done all of a sudden? All of a sudden, your vocals are starting to stutter. What did you do?
Nothing. Not a thing. I didn't touch anything.
It was fine that it started. Now you're crackling.
Oh, I have a Canadian.
Anyway,
but yeah, good morning. Yeah, for those kids that were not able to write the exam, I really hope the Ministry of Education makes some sort of decision.
They have to make accommodations and rewrite the exam. There was no fault of their own, so
no fault of their own. All right. So good morning to you. Sorry, I knew it was time for you guys. I had a natural disaster. Whoa. I don't know what goes through your mind.
Yeah, that's what it just troubles you. As a kid, you're preparing for your exam and you counting out to the exam, and then the exam, you can't go to the exam, so you're panicking and you're anxious, and that's not the best state to be in. And your colleagues in other schools write the exam, and then they might have to write a new exam because you might have get the stuff from somebody else, so they might, it's just kind of messy.
Yeah, those kids will get great. Good morning to Edwin Marshall, that's watching us on YouTube. Good morning to Edwin Ray out in West Palm Beach, Florida.
Are you
Kazim
sure
Mohammed.
your internet didn't jump over to another internet stream or something that's weaker?
No, you asking me something I cannot answer at all.
Right, it's fixed now. For some whatever you did, it fixed.
All right.
So do
I didn't do a thing. Let me leave my hands here. Good morning to Mr. Carapo.
Your hands acting as some sort of antenna and it working. My, what big hands you have, Steve.
You remember, I know a lot of people tell me that. I remember a long time, it's like when you had to fix the television, somebody go up in the roof. All right, tell me how we're doing. Turn it left. No, go back. Turn it right. Go back left. Go it. Yeah, that's me right now.
Yeah.
You remember those days? I wasn't born yet, but I've been told. And the remote control for the television, what really was volume and on and off at this time was, Steve, just take off the TV. Steve, put on the volume. That was the remote control. That's a good morning to all the Denver Nuggets fans. They have won the NBA title. They're now the champions.
Really?
First time ever. Yeah, I watched it last. It was a sloppy game, but I watched it last night. So if I fall asleep during my, that's why.
We don't need to hear that.
When I went up close to 12.
Whew. That was a scary kind of snow there. That was a scary snow.
I don't snow. Only because I sleep with a machine on. I can't sleep without that now.
You just sleep with that thing?
Yeah, I have to sleep with that for the rest of my life.
That must be fun.
You get it. It took me 6 months because I cannot sleep with a watch, a ring, jewelry, any sort of thing.
Neither can I. Neither can I. So it's like it will distract me. I will go crazy. Yeah,
it's like the T-shirt you have on, the round neck T-shirts. I can't even sleep with that.
I cannot use round neck T-shirts.
Yeah, I use a V-neck.
They make me feel claustrophobic.
Correct. Mm-hmm. That's it.
Yep.
So
it's choking me or something. You're right. I could empathize with that. I could fully empathize with that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really am. So that's I watch the NBA. So it wasn't too bad. They won in 5 games in Denver. In the last couple of minutes. Mm-hmm.
The Banking Association has put out something. Okay, just now. Wait, one second.
Wait. Hold on. Bankers Association said something. What did they say?
Yes.
No, man. Today must be a Black Friday, Black Tuesday, Black something.
They put out the release. Let me read the release for you.
Yeah, you read that, Paul. I'm listening on it. Hold on, folks. Bankers Association made a statement. Let's hear.
Wait, I'm doing 3 things one time here, so you have to excuse me.
Let me put my hands where you can see it. Oh, what big hands you have, Steve. So you won't say that I touch anything. But I'm shocked. I even tried calling them. When was last week?
Why?
Even I said I wasn't going to call them again. I did try and.
Right. So.
No avail.
It's reported in the Express this morning.
Mm-hmm,
and the Bankers, so it's from an article from Camry Rodriguez from 1 hour ago. It's titled, "Be careful, use online banking where possible. Bank customers have been advised to take precautions when performing transactions, such as using online banking platforms to minimize cash withdrawals, shielding one's PIN number at a point-of-sale machine, and avoiding clicking unsolicited emails." The advice from the Bankers Association of Trinidad and Tobago yesterday, expressing concern over recent reports of robbery among citizens leaving banks throughout the nation. Like, they now get the message. In a media release, BATT stated its zero-tolerance policy for criminal activity, adding that customer security was its #1 priority of its banking members, which include Citibank, First Caribbean International Bank, First Citizens Bank Limited, GMMB Bank, Republic Bank, Scotia Bank, RBC Royal Bank, and Answer Bank. So that, like, the Bankers Association finally wake up and realize people are getting robbed. And, after all the weeks of media coverage and those things, like, they finally get, oh my God, people are getting robbed. Yeah. Well, better late than never. So I would say good morning to Dwayne, Sylvester, Kazim, Mohammed, Rayway, Edwin, and everyone else on YouTube. So we finally get a peep out of the Bankers Association.
But let me tell you, our ATMs are so old. So if Paul, I write you a check, right? And you have to deposit into your account. But you cannot take a picture like some ATMs and send it to the bank. You have to physically go to the ATM, physically go into the bank.
But I think that's a law. I think that's actually a law thing that you need to amend one of the financial acts to be able to take a picture of the check, which will have some sort of a readable code in it for the bank to process it. So it's not an ATM thing as such, as much as I think it's a law thing.
Yeah, a law and technology.
Well, the technology is there because they read different stuff already, but and the check has to have a readable barcode or a readable code. Did you know that when you're reading a barcode, it's not the black lines that the code reads.
The numbers.
No, the code, the bars are what they read.
Below that is a bunch of numbers too.
Yeah, but that's not what the reader reads. It reads the symbol, the code, the bars itself.
Yeah. Yeah. The number itself is for something totally different, but yeah.
Number is like a registration number more than anything else.
And then it depends. You could have a barcode, and when you enter it into the system, you could put whatever price. So the machine would read, then it reads that number and realize, okay, fine, that's the price for that. That's what we do. Yeah. That's what we have to do.
So thank you, Bankers Association, for waking up finally. Took you a while, but yeah.
And as you say that, I remembered there's a scam out. It's happening more in the US and North America, where scammers are actually using AI to scam people.
How so?
So a news item came up last week. I was watching something in the US, a US network. We had a grandson. She got a call, and his name popped up on the phone. So she answered the phone, and she said that she got in an accident. He got in an accident. He hit a lady with a baby in the car, and his nose is broken. And on the phone, she said it sounded just like her grandson. Now, I don't know how they do it.
Wow. Well, but they're making Whitney Houston sing new songs and Michael Jackson sing new songs now. So
true.
They have and putting your face on bodies and stuff. So
yeah. And she said it sounded just like her grandson, and that he needs $5,000. And the lawyer came on the phone and said, "Yeah, I need $5,000. I'll send somebody home by you to pick it up." And so somebody came by the door. She handed an envelope, and she's gone.
Time I send somebody home to pick up money, I hang the phone.
But there are people that do that. She got another call now stating that the child in the accident has died, and I need legal fees of $9,000. And she said somebody will ask them to pick it up, and they did. At that point, the granny realized, well, let me call my grandson and see what is going on. And he said, no, Granny, I'm home. I'm good. I'm normal. So she was scammed. I don't know how they do it. There was a 60-minute interview. A television showed 60 Minutes, where the experts was actually explaining how it's done. So I'm only saying it's only a matter of time before that happens here.
Well, you have to be careful these days because nothing is as it seems in this world anymore. So this is one of the videos that was circulating on social media yesterday. So this is the video that you're seeing, fire truck that got stuck in the flood waters yesterday. And because of the heavy rains and the flooding in several areas in South, and particularly South Trinidad, Tobago, etc. If the fire truck comes to rescue, and the fire truck
rescuing,
if the fire truck need rescuing, you know how bad it is.
Yeah, but our hearts and goes out to all those affected by the flooded area. I actually saw TV6 News last night where a chicken farmer lost all his chickens.
Isn't that hard? I mean, you invest so much time and money to
and let me tell you, that ain't cheap.
No, it's not cheap.
That ain't cheap.
And the amount of time and effort you put into it also.
And care and everything.
A lot of value, so.
Yeah.
And the what you call it, the Met Office had issued a yellow alert at first, and then it upgraded it to an orange alert for those areas in South and some parts of Central Trinidad and Tobago. Well, Trinidad, not Tobago. And well, Pinal, Debe, Barrackpore, Woodland, and Moruga were really hard hit, flooding. That South Urupuch River burst its banks. Several of the tributaries burst their banks, and prayers and support. I know the regional corporations are out, although the aldermen and they're not working. But I don't know how that's working out with people who have had to cease their positions because of the calling of the local government elections. But I guess there is some continuity envisioned for situations like these. So
yeah.
So our prayers and support go out to them, and hope that everybody all right. You all be careful out there because it's kind of a little drier today, but more rains are on the way.
Yeah.
You know,
and that traffic yesterday was, oh boy, traffic heading south yesterday was horrendous.
Yeah, because of the flooding.
Yeah.
So, and this is just the start of the rainy season and the hurricane season. So it'll be a little haul until September, October, thereabouts. And the way this rain start with a fury.
It really started with a bang, you know. It really started with a bang.
So
that rain on the weekend was like the November 28th rain, with all that rain falling in one day.
So 2 men denied bail when they appeared in court yesterday to answer the charges arising from the missing Army rifle. A regiment private and a 30-year-old man were denied bail. So
that is as stupid could be. How could he be so stupid?
Well, he never normal court, so it's not even in court martial like inside the regiment. It's it's outside now and then. Misbehaving in public office, receiving stolen goods. So you're right. That's stupid as stupid does.
Exactly.
I mean, really? But you thought you'd get away with that? Well, maybe they did.
How he left the base with it? I hope all that is being investigated.
Well, I'm sure. The Army is usually pretty thorough.
Yeah. I saw there was a call yesterday for the Army to come out for San Fernando. I didn't hear anything regarding that. Just,
Well,
just
I would imagine so. I would imagine so, given the kind of flooding and displacement that people experienced,
hmm I
kind
mean,
of
there's
thing.
only so much you could do when we have so much rain in one shot. And then again with the tides and so
And then you
on.
had to wait for the water to dissipate for the most part. You
hmm
can't just, even if you're going to rescue people and take them out of dangerous situations, you still have
hmm
to wait for the water to dissipate to start to do any sort of restoration or cleanup. So, and you clean up today, rain come again Saturday or Sunday, Friday, So
Exactly.
it ain't gonna be easy. Ain't gonna be easy at all. Good news for registered Venezuelan nationals who
Yeah,
has
yeah. I
who
mean,
have
yeah,
been,
I was doing something when he was reading that
um
story.
the Ministry of National Security have extended their permits to the end of the year, December 31st. Because I was asking what was going on with them, so they have to go into the offices, the what's it called, the Immigration Division Enforcement Unit offices from June 20th, which is later on this week, to July 28th, to have their permits extended and update their registration cards.
Hmm.
I would have imagined that they would have had another opportunity for those who may have come in to register to try and
hmm
normalize and get a sense of how many migrants are here. Because we all know that the initial 15 or 16 or 17,000 thereabouts who went for registration ain't that amount here
hmm
for that number here. We all know it's a lot more Venezuelans
Yeah,
who
especially
are
a lot more
here.
Venezuelans that
And since
came in.
that, uh, 2 or 3 years ago, and then the subsequent registration, I think they need to do another registration to try and capture those who may have come in after that, because the turmoil and the unrest still going on in Venezuela, and people are still fleeing for better
Yeah.
conditions, or at least a rest from it.
So since the registration that they had at the Queen's Park Oval till now, how many more Venezuelans came in? That's coming to
Precisely.
the country. There are Venezuelans that take the pirogue back to Venezuela. There's some that I believe take the boat out by Pier 1 to go to Venezuela. Um,
You're
and
being very organized. You think it's that organized? I know there's several points that they depart and come in from.
it organized.
They come in south, and I've heard about that Pier 1 area. I've heard about
Legal entry.
I heard about right by the Hyatt.
Yeah, I've heard that as well.
Boldface, right by the Hyatt.
Yeah.
I've heard about several areas in the northwestern peninsula
hmm
where boats leave regularly, like almost every day. Because I know people who have hired Venezuelans who, the people who have hired say, well, I won't be here for 3 days. I'm going home to come back Friday. Normal. I'm going to carry some stuff from a family,
hmm
some toiletries and some pharmaceuticals and drugs and stuff from a family, and I coming back because my family needs some, because they're here working to send stuff for the family in many cases. So,
Yeah,
and
mostly.
they go, and then they come back Friday as normal, like if it's a bus or a plane ride.
hmm
So I get a sense, I know they've been fervent in some instances with clamping down, or they had been, but I get a sense as part of the diplomatic treatment of this situation that the authorities may not be as vigilant all the time because it's a humanitarian issue. That's what I have no information to confirm that, but that's the sense I get, that they ain't as vigilant because we understand what they're going through and kind of thing. That's the sense I get anyway.
hmm
Can't confirm it, but
Yeah.
because if we know about it and we have friends and colleagues who hire Venezuelans who they tell, I'm sure everybody has heard that we're not going home for a couple of days to check my family and to drop some stuff, but are coming back, you know.
hmm
So yeah, I do believe that that that's part of the diplomacy that's happening.
Yeah. Good
You know,
morning to all our big guy and CJ, all those in New York. I see your police commissioner has resigned after a year and a half on the job.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Very
Mm-hmm.
interesting.
I'm trying to figure out
What
why.
is that? Pressure or what?
I'm sorry.
Pressure or what?
Let's see. I'm reading here. The tension appeared to surface in public last November when, I hope I pronounced her name well, Sewell gave a speech to a banquet for fellow police women. Understand you will be, this is quote unquote, understand you will be second guessed, told what you should say, told what you should write by some with half your experience. You will get free unsolicited personal advice. Your hairstyle is wrong. You look tired, already worn out in less than a year. That's what she said at a banquet. I'll dig more into it.
So what's wrong with that?
I don't know.
I thought those other countries are a lot more conservative than what we think is normal in Trinidad and Tobago, right?
Yeah.
Like people in Barbados are particularly conservative. My friends in Barbados would tell me, "You crazy, you know? But you couldn't say what you say on the radio, you know, because they lock you up long time." Just tell me that years ago. A prison officer who joined the service 3 years ago was held with items deemed to be prohibited while attempting to enter the Eastern Correctional and Rehabilitation Center. Michael Johnson was arrested at about 11:14 a.m. on Sunday while attempting to enter the center. He was subjected to a routine search, where they found the contraband on him.
Again, I'll say it. How stupid could you be? You know they're going to search you.
Well, it's random searches, so they don't always search you.
Yeah.
Right? It's random searches. So
we don't have a new prisons commissioner. We have an acting, right?
Hmm?
We have an acting prison commissioner.
Is he acting?
I'm not sure.
I can't remember. The political leader of the United National Congress, Mrs. Pasal Bissessa, has issued a call for smaller parties to join with the UNC to fight the local government elections. No surprise there to me. I mean, the hints had been there before, but she made the official call. Is it yesterday or the day before yesterday? She said that if they unite now and are strategic in their battle in the local government election, which is August 14th or 16th, I forget. August 14th or 16th?
14.
Yeah, if they join with the UNC now and are strategic in the fight to beat the PNM in the upcoming local government election, it bodes well for them continuing the strategic alliance leading to 2025. So I guess we could ask this morning if you think the UNC has a better chance joining with smaller parties to win local government elections, you know?
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not surprised because I got the impression that there were talks happening. I think we would have spoken to somebody whose name escapes me at the moment. And they would have I think it's not the first time Mrs. Pasal Bissessa has opened the door to possible alliances with smaller parties. Kind of thing, you know? So we'll see how that goes.
We'll see. Good morning to Sankofa.
Mm-hmm.
You do the YouTube greetings. I'll do the onboard. Mr. Karapo, good morning. Central Animal Lover, good morning. She says, Steve, how is your mom? Oh, mom is doing amazing. Now we have to do the same thing with dad.
Well, you have parents are getting older. To me, that's the part of the responsibility.
We'll know later on today. So
they didn't make you and feed you for nothing.
You know, stress, talk about stress.
They didn't make you and feed you for
mom
nothing.
is fine. Mom is pretty much back to normal. She just has to take it easy. No, this is what I found funny in your post here. The traffic heading south yesterday, get this, Paul, was caused by workers painting a culvert on the highway. One lane was closed off. In the rain? In the rain?
Only in Trinidad and Tobago. Only in Trinidad and Tobago.
Okay,
Only in Trinidad and Tobago.
they were
Only in
painting
Trinidad and Tobago.
on the highway. I need to know what paint they're using.
Only in Trinidad and Tobago. Morning, Raghubar Singh.
Hi, morning, guys.
Richie Rich, you heard about
What's
this?
what's only in Trinidad and Tobago?
The traffic heading south yesterday was caused by workers painting a culvert on the highway. One lane was closed off.
Yeah,
In rain.
that's quite possible.
That's why we said only in Trinidad and Tobago.
That's quite possible.
And it's hilarious. Really? I give up. I give up.
But the weather
Yes,
seems
morning, Rich.
the weather seems better today, not so?
Yes. Definitely better today.
Yeah, because I know they were concerned with has that riverine alert been suspended now?
No, it's still yeah.
It's up to 5 this afternoon.
Oh, okay.
It was updated. The Met service advised you went from yellow to orange yesterday and had been issued until 5 today, Tuesday, the 13th. So prayers, and we played a video this morning, Richard. I don't know if you saw this video. Let me bring it up. So of course, the fire truck had to be rescued. Somebody posted it could be deep fake.
Already
So that's part of that's part of what happened yesterday.
I'm actually trying to get someone from South Oropouche right now to talk about what's going on there. We could probably talk to him for 5 minutes. I'm just waiting. Yep, I got it.
I also called the head of the ODPM, or one of the chairman of the regional corporation. So I think their positions continue for situations just like this, even though the local government elections have been called and many of the aldermen and councillors no longer have positions officially. But to me, even if you don't have an official position and you're seeking re-election, now is the time to go out and show what you're worth. Wouldn't you say so?
Yeah.
Now it's time to go out and show what you're worth. You can't not offer help because you might be getting a salary now. Or the new ones who may not have been there before, who've offered themselves up, now put on your big boots and, go out and show that you are part of the solution.
Well, there were 1 or 2 shelters that were opened yesterday to facilitate people who were flooded out or in flood-prone areas. I can't remember exactly where the shelters were. Of course, South Trinidad was particularly affected.
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis North and Northwest.
Before you came on, the Bankers Association has finally put out a press release encouraging clients of banking institutions to use online as much as possible and be careful with the robberies. They have a zero tolerance in criminal activity. So we finally got some information, a press release from the Bankers Association, who took a while. You can write Steve again and try to intimidate us. We don't really care. Right, frankly. It took a while. It took a while.
Oh, be right back, guys.
Right? It took a while.
You said something in passing. What was that about Steve and writing Steve?
No, the last time we spoke about this and we suggested that one of the possible accomplices may be tellers when people are robbed just shortly after leaving the banks, And Steve got a note from somebody.
That was a story that came out of a story.
Yeah.
That was on news actually, where a woman. No, it was a viral video. It was a viral video where a woman said, and the bank teller told her be careful, and as soon as she walked out, she was robbed, or
Yeah.
she
Well, I
she
didn't know
wasn't
that.
robbed, but I think she's was she robbed? Or she was aware that people were following her or something like that. I can't remember exactly the
Well,
particulars.
I didn't know about that, but we were just postulating that potentially one of the tellers may be involved in tipping off criminals when people leave the banks with large sums of money, given the number of particularly elderly people who had been robbed in recent times after leaving banks. And somebody messaged Steve with the knickers in a bunch, talking about legal action and all kind of foolishness.
Mm.
As if they could take legal action for postulation.
Mm.
And we didn't even
know
call the particular bank, and we chastised the Banking Association for remaining silent for so long. Woo, hallelujah, they finally make a statement. You should be so happy after all this time that they finally realized you need to make a statement. And the whole communication department was sleeping or unaware that you need to make a statement. And it should go further than statements, actually. You know, I think if an elderly person is leaving, particularly a bank, I don't know how practical it could be, but what is wrong with sending a security guard to walk that person to the car? You understand? Because they making enough money off away for every living charge possible known to mankind. If you leave money in the bank, you have to pay. If you take out money from the bank, you have to pay. If you borrow money from the bank, you have to pay. If you invest money in the bank, you have to pay. If you use the ATM, you have to pay. Am I wrong?
Yeah, there are a lot of charges.
If you want a manager's check, you have to pay for the check. So, I mean, come on, they make money off of everything. They're taking your money that you leave in the bank and invest it, and you have to pay to leave the money in the bank for them to make money for themselves. So the banks never, financial institutions hardly ever lose.
But
And it's a business enterprise, but a little more consideration. Like I went in a bank the other day. One bank I went in, and they were very, very proactive where elderly people were concerned and taking them out of the line. And this is Republic Bank. So I was two kudos to Republic Bank, Chadwick Road and Long Circular Mode, because I saw that. Yet in another bank, I saw, and I congratulate First Citizens because their new system, that system of the numbers and stuff, is extremely efficient. But I went in another bank whose name I shall not call, and elderly people stand in the line, nobody coming out to take them out. And the line long and slow. I mean, I might look young, you know, but I'm elderly too. So you
but that could only be RBC.
I didn't call any name.
Yeah, but a process of elimination.
That's fair. There's several other banks. There's the Answer Bank, Scotia Bank, RBC, JMMB, JMMB.
Scotiabank doesn't have a stand-up line. It doesn't sit
there. Right? So it could be anyone of the four. So try your best. Don't try to put me in the back and out with RBC this morning. You're trying to put me in the back and out with RBC this morning. No.
But banks generally have been, over the last couple of years or so, have been kind of trying to prod you to get online, though.
Yes, and no problem with that. But there's some.
They have been trying to tell you, in other words,
transactions that you need to go into the bank for.
Yeah.
There's some transactions you have to go into the bank for.
Like?
You understand? To be minding my business on international.
No, I'm asking. I don't know what.
A manager's check.
And right, manager's checks you have to, and to me they should find a way.
I'm sure they can.
To issue manager's checks digitally.
And Steve was talking earlier on.
And that you could just collect it.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to collect it.
Just to collect it, and that's it. You shouldn't have to be in there.
It's similar vein we were talking earlier on about what exists in the US and the UK, where you could get a digital check and scan it on your phone, and your check gets cashed.
Well, a couple of years ago, that process of us being able to do that was seemed to be coming soon, according to the banking people that we spoke to. But I don't know if COVID
Yeah, we
COVID
did speak.
delayed that.
The previous president of the Bankers Association did tell us that in an interview.
Yeah, but it just seems to have paused.
I think it may be a legislative issue.
And bankers don't know legislators.
Bankers know real legislators. What do you mean?
Then get it done.
You have papers? Six.
No, I don't have papers today. My apologies.
One flat my hand, yes. But this phone only falling. All right, let's start with the. I took my phone to fix last week. You would laugh at this. I know you would laugh at this. So when they fixed the phone, they called, "Can I have your password? Just want to check something." I mean, no. Please, no. I'll come in and open it for you. The lady started to laugh at the phone. She said, "You clearly have something that you don't want nobody to see." I mean, yeah, the confidential documents, yes. She just started to laugh hilariously at the phone. I mean, no. Let's start with the newspapers for today. June 13th. Oh, I don't want to put nobody in trouble. I don't ask anybody to call me Batman. Just so you know. Anyway, it's June 13th. If you know, you know, right, Richard? If you know, you know. Okay, let's start with the news day. Yeah, that woman laughed so much at me on that phone. Rowley, ministry to soon assess heliport detention center. 55 given writs for local government elections. Senator Dama Mahasaba, new teacher interview process against Concordat. Education Ministry revision program, not a knee-jerk reaction, really. Floods batter South Trinidad, Pinal, Barrackpore, Woodland, and Moruga hardest hit. Venezuelan work permit exemption extended to December 31st. You know how to file a question. These things come up. After you file a question for answer, and all of a sudden they upgrade. I filed this question 2 weeks ago. All of a sudden they upgrade they extend the work permit. So they could come and say, well, we've extended it when the question comes up for answer. So, hilarious. Rowley, US to help put more pressure on criminals. JTAM wants change at industrial court. Right, let's move now to the I can't get over that thing that woman called me for that password number. Would you have given the password number on the phone, Richard?
Probably not.
For
I
your
mean,
phone,
in these kind of times, anytime but somebody asks you for your password, you're kind
yeah.
of
And for your phone, and your phone is connected to everything. You understand? Your credit card, everything. All right, let's move to the Express now. Flood chaos in South Trinidad. Prison officer held with prohibited items. A bail denied. Of course, the two men held in connection with the missing Galil rifle that's since been recovered. Be careful. Use online banking where possible. Round of applause to the Banking Association. Final response. Teen held will miss CSEC exam today. What? He was remanded in custody in connection with a robbery. 18-year-old. An 18-year-old woman will be missing her CSEC exam because she's been remanded in custody in connection with a robbery. So you waiting for exam and you gonna allegedly rob somebody? Wow. Hammerman gets fined for protection order breach. Man charged after police chase. House burns after lightning strike. And Haynes, government failing pupils. So let's move now to the Guardian. Online. For today, UNC in unity talks with smaller parties. Kamala claims PNM set to implement 25% inheritance tax plan. Flooding wreaks havoc across South Trinidad. PM blames Farley for chief administrative void in the assembly. PM systems were on standby for quick flood response. Duke urges Farley to rule with integrity. What? Duke urges Farley to rule with integrity? Okay. Private civilian on stolen Army Galil denied bail. A private and civilian on stolen Army Galil charge denied bail. Chiguanas Corporation readies 5,000 sandbags for flood response. And US-based professor, no evidence that migrants are responsible for TNT's crime surge. So those are trending stories in your Express Guardian and Newsday for today, June 13th, 2023. My suggestion for the question could be, do you think the UNC joining with other smaller parties will have a better chance in the upcoming local government election? Because Mrs. Prasad Bissessa has issued a call for smaller parties to continue their talks with the UNC in a bid to be more successful in the local government election. That's my suggestion. If you have a better one, I have no problem with it either.
No, I think that's a good one because you have a battery of
Yep, a lot of them.
Yeah.
Right? So those are trending stories in your Express Guardian and Newsday. I'm Steve today.
Yeah, I'm putting it up here. Taking a while.
Well, is there not a problem normally with you? Taking a while to.
Yeah, I'm getting the results.
6:52.
I'm getting the results.
There's something you're doing in there that keeps tripping off the system. Please stop doing it.
Where that music is coming from now?
I'm not hearing any music. Steve?
There's music playing. There's Destra and Marshall playing.
I don't know. I'm not hearing anything. So.
Okay, I see where it came from. We'll refresh it. All right, the results of our poll yesterday. Are you concerned about the loss in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund? Actually, we're going to talk to Dr. Valmiki on this come Thursday. The results are in 70%, 70 said yes. 70% said yes. They are concerned about the loss in the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. All right. So let's get into this morning's poll.
The question this morning is, do you think the UNC joining with smaller political parties will have a better chance at success in the upcoming local government election? Yes or no? Do you think the UNC joining with smaller political parties will have more of a chance at success, or will have more success in the upcoming local government election? Yes or no?
222-8255. North Americans, 866-525-1099. All right. Give us a call right now. Tell us yes or no. Again, our morning poll.
Do you think that the UNC joining with smaller political parties will have more success, will yield more success in the upcoming local government elections? That's our question. That's a poll question this morning.
Yep. All right. So give us, of course, you send us a message via our YouTube channel and on our mobile app or website. All right.
So 222-TALK, 222-8255, North Americans, 866-525-1099. People on the web and the app, well, you should know what to do in terms of sending in your vote. 222-TALK, 222-8255, North Americans, 866-525-1099. Our poll this morning, do you think the UNC joining with smaller parties, smaller political parties, will yield more success in the local government elections? That's our poll this morning. What do you think? Because there certainly are a battery of smaller parties.
Yeah. Mr. Carapo says yes to the poll. Wayne in Simcoe, Ontario, Canada says no. DJ Ray out in Delaware says no. Central Animal Lover says no to the poll. Big Guy, morning, Big Guy. Long time. Answer to the poll is yes. Good morning to Leonard Naipaul. Beauty Culture. H.S. Wilson says definitely yes. Andre 868, he says, good morning. The fire service is constantly complaining about lack of equipment and appliances ought not to be in flood waters. Yeah, they are. They really need it. Wayne Griffith, good morning. Michael Gradison. Lenise W, good morning to you. I hope I pronounced your name right. Dwayne Sylvester, good morning to you as well. D says yes, but with Mrs. Bisasa, the head of the ANC, I will not vote for her. Oh, okay. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. This is Glenn from Queens. Good morning.
Glenn, what's happening? What's happening?
I'm good. You feeling good now? I hope everything is good with you.
Not bad at all.
And the answer is yes.
Yes. Thanks, Glenn, out in Queens.
Yes.
Thank you so much. Have a great day, Glenn. Long Islander says no. Thank you so much. Hood Wells says no. Do you think the UNC joining with smaller political parties will yield more success in the upcoming local government elections? What says you? Yes or no? 2 months again for local government elections. Yes or no? Carol Guevara. Wagwan. Carol says no. Thank you, Carol. Yeah. All right. 222-8255. Toll free North Americans. 866-525-1099. That's our numbers directly into our studio. Of course, when you send us a message, I'll get it right here in studio as well. All right. Do you think the UNC joining with smaller political parties will yield more success in the upcoming local government elections carded for August 14th? Yeah. Yes or no? Lorna. Good morning, Lorna. Good morning, Indy. Special good morning going out to Carly. Says yes. All right. Let's grab this call. Good morning.
Morning. No, not at all.
All right. Where are you calling us from? And either he's swearing or we lost that call. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Yes, Sleepyhead.
Richard Wrightman said it for me. Hell no.
As soon as we said that, we knew that already. All right. Leonard Naipaul says yes. Going out into community. All right. Thank you, Leonard. You have less than a minute to vote. Of course, our morning poll will stay up on our website and our mobile app until tomorrow morning when we give you the final results. Yeah. All right. Ooh. The big bad wolf just walked into the studio. Yeah. Ooh. Okay. All right. Let's see. Any more hits coming through here? I'm just checking. I'm checking. Anything there? Anything there? No. All right. So let's get into our major news. Avril Sinhill Bab is in.
This is your news bulletin from Power 102 Digital.
Hundreds marooned and businesses and schools closed as the South Oropouche River and its tributaries burst their banks. A riverine flood alert remains in effect until 5 p.m. today. No bail for TTR private and civilian and Galil assault rifle case. And the Prime Minister gives reasons behind the THA having no chief administrator. Details in a moment. Time for news on Power 102 Digital. I'm Avril Sidobab. Good morning. Hundreds of persons were left marooned and businesses and schools were forced to close as the South Oropouche River and its tributaries burst their banks and caused severe flooding throughout South Trinidad yesterday. While there were no reports of injuries, several residents were unable to return to their homes last night, and many were counting their losses after floodwaters gushed into their homes. Many residents in affected areas complained that they were caught off guard as there was no warning of the level of flooding from official sites, and they were left scrambling to put furniture and appliances out of the way of flood waters. This after TNT experienced more than half the average rainfall expected in the entire month of June in just 36 hours. Penal, Debe, Barrackpore, Woodland, and Moruga were among the hardest hit communities, and on Monday afternoon, the water was still rising. Residents remain concerned after the TT Meteorological Office upgraded Sunday's yellow riverine flood alert to an orange level alert for South Trinidad. Meanwhile, the riverine flood alert remains in effect until 5 p.m. today. The Met Service says after continued rainfall activity, the river level of the South Oropouche, as well as smaller tributaries in southern areas of Trinidad, are near critical levels or overtopping in some areas based on official reports. Additional periods of rainfall will likely continue over the next 24 hours, which will result in the further elevation of river levels. Runoff will be slower at high tide, which will be at 12:04 a.m. and 2:03 p.m. Tuesday today. Members of the public are being asked to finalize preparations to protect lives, livelihoods, and property. Activate your safety plan. Secure food, water, and medicine for at least 7 days in waterproof containers. Protect important assets and documents. Do not take unnecessary risks. Follow the instructions of government officials and monitor official sources for information. More information can be had at www.odpm.gov.tt. A Trinidad and Tobago regiment private and a 30-year-old man were both denied bail after appearing before Port of Spain magistrate on Monday. Both men were charged on June 11th for the missing Galil assault rifle and one magazine, which was reported missing from the Pioneer Department of the Tetron Army Barrack Chagaramas last Sunday. The missing Galil was retrieved after an investigation on June 9th in the vicinity of Ballarat Recreational Park and a black garbage bag to the side of a concrete structure. The matter was postponed to June 14th when the men are expected to appear before Magistrate Maureen Babulal Gafur. 22-year-old Private Ronaldo Wanza was charged with 2 counts of misbehavior in public office, 1 count of which the larceny of the Galil assault rifle and the other count of which the subsequent transfer of same, possession of a prohibited weapon and possession of ammunition, while 30-year-old Brandon Moonsami of Makoya Settlement to Napuna was jointly charged with Private Ronaldo Wanza for misbehavior in public office, to wit transferring a firearm and receiving the Galil assault rifle knowing same to be stolen. The Ministry of National Security says the duration of the work permit exemption granted to Venezuelan nationals in Trinidad and Tobago register under the migrant registration framework has been extended to December 31st, 2023. Registered Venezuelan nationals who were issued with minister's permits and migrant registration cards are invited to visit the relevant Immigration Division Enforcement Unit office during the period June 20th, 2023 to July 28th, 2023 to process their extended permits and update their registration cards. Failure to visit the relevant immigration office by July 28, 2023 will prevent further processing, and incomplete applications will be considered as withdrawn. Registrants are urged to inform the Immigration Division of any changes in their address and contact details when they visit the relevant immigration office. Without accurate and updated contact information, the Immigration Division will be unable to advise the registrant on the status of their application. Approved applicants will be issued with new minister's permits, which will be valid until December 31st, 2023, and their existing registration cards will be updated with a sticker indicating the date of expiry at December 31st, 2023. In the instances where registration cards have been lost, stolen, or mutilated, new cards will only be issued upon completion of the relevant statutory declaration and payment of a replacement fee of $500. Registrants will be advised on the ministry's website when their minister's permits are ready for collection. You are listening to news on Power 102 Digital to 7 o'clock. Well, finally, here's weather news for the period today till midnight. Trinidad and Tobago fair periods interrupted at times by partly cloudy conditions, accompanied by some light to moderate showers in confined areas throughout the day. There is a low to medium chance some of these showers could become heavy and or thundery. Gusty winds, street or flash flooding can be expected in heavy showers and thunderstorms, and orange level riverine flood alert remains in effect. Look out for a forecast maximum temperature of a warm 33 degrees Celsius at Pialco International Airport and 31 degrees Celsius at Crown Point in Tobago. Currently, it is 28 degrees Celsius at both localities. Recapping your headlines to 7 o'clock, hundreds marooned and businesses and schools closed as the South Oropouche River and its tributaries burst their banks. A riverine flood alert remains in effect until 5 p.m. today. No bail for TTR private and civilian and Galil assault rifle case, and the Prime Minister gives reasons behind the having no THA chief administrator. I'm Avril Sindel-Bab. That was news to 7 o'clock on Power 102 Digital. Look out for more news in detail at 12 noon and an update coming your way at 8 o'clock this morning. For more details, log on to power102fm.com.
Up to date and credible. Power 102 Digital.
All right. Thank you so much, Evie, for our major news. You can join Evie again at 8 o'clock with a news brief. All right, before we give the results of our morning poll and introduce our guests, let's take a look at what's happening traffic-wise. San Fernando, the creek, you've got some volume there passing South Trunk Road, heading towards Marabella. That's pretty much where your traffic is. Taking the Solo up, Rivulet Road has got some volume, leaving Coover toward Chase Village. That's a bit sticky this morning. But you're going to get your traffic this morning before Monroe Road by Charlieville. From Chin Chin Road heading to Ibis Gardens, you've got some Kelly Village, Maloney to Huey on the highway, and then from Curep to Port of Spain, you've got some traffic. All right, there is an accident. It is southbound by the just after the Carney River. All right, there is an accident there. I'll tell you that. Eastern Main Road, Tacarigua towards Page, and then heading from Curep and towards Mount Hope. Also got it. Maraval, usual stuff out of Dago, approaching Crystal Stream. You've got some traffic there. All right, so that's a quick traffic update for you. Hope it helped you out in one way or the other. All right, let me see if I have any more votes here. I've got no. All right. Of course, our guest this morning will be Commander Garvin Hira. He'll join us shortly. Right. Okay. I just saw this disturbing post of a pet shop. I'll send it to you guys, where they just have these huskies and other dogs in small crates packed up in a corner. I never like to see animals like that. That is why at the Pet Butler, we do not sell animals. No livestock. But clearly...
so I have the results of the poll. Are you hearing me right, Steve?
Well, let me just finish. If we had to put livestock in, it certainly would not be like what I'm seeing here right now. And let's get the results, Richard.
Well, we had 15 people voting in the allotted time. And so our poll was, do you think that the UNC joining up with smaller parties will yield better results in the upcoming local government elections? Of the 15 people, 8 of you said no, you don't think so. And 6 of you said yes, you do think so. So it's kind of, of course, the nays have it. So, of course, that's our poll for today in terms of the results.
Did Steve give you HS Wilson? Yes. Heather Wells? No.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Okay. All right. All this on the YouTube stream. All right.
Yeah. So, of course, we'll give you the final results tomorrow morning, so you can continue to vote on this poll throughout the day through our programming, and we'll give you the final results tomorrow.
Let's say good morning to Gavin Hira. Good morning.
Hi, morning, Dr. Richards. Morning to the team. Greetings on behalf of the Hero family and to all of the team in studio and
So
all
what do you
the
think?
streaming.
You want to answer our question? Do you think the UNC joining with smaller political parties will make a difference?
Sorry, I missed the question.
The question is, do you think the UNC joining with smaller political parties will yield more success in the upcoming local government election? Mr. Prasad Bisset has issued a call to work with smaller political parties in the lead up to the local government elections.
I would like to abstain, if you don't mind.
Well said.
I could have bet you would abstain. I was sure you were going to abstain. Morning, Gavin. How are you going?
Good morning, team. Morning, guys.
Morning.
All right. Let's start with the missing Galil rifle and your thoughts on that scenario. The initial issue of the rifle turning up missing after being signed out, the subsequent search and find, and the charging of the two individuals. So let's start with the day you heard about it missing and what ran through your head, given your experience in the military and systems that most people presume are in place, particularly regarding arms and ammunition.
Yeah, well, to all Defense Force personnel, be it serving or not serving, it was a disturbing, what I'll call revelation, to be seeing this and to be hearing about it now. As I would have said in another place, this is not the first time that a weapon might have gone missing or stolen from the Defense Force. I want to compliment the investigations team under the acting commanding officer, Colonel Ashok Singh, and of course the Chief of Defense Staff for the very quick operational, what I'll call the operational launch, inclusive of working with the police service and all of the other agencies that would have contributed for the retrieval. But if we backtrack a little bit, it is disturbing that a serving member of the Defense Force will want to conspire and collaborate to steal a weapon. And we know where this weapon was going. This weapon was going to go into the hands of criminals. This weapon was going to kill another human being. And that is what is very disturbing in an environment and in a time like this. Somebody who is aligned to the colors, who's serving in the Defense Force, would contribute to a crime like that. And I have been saying that people who are conducting home invasions, drive-by shootings, involved in gangs, who are of a criminal intent, are not just at the level of just committing the crime or the burglary or the break-in or the the home invasion or the stealing of the car. Their intent now is to kill somebody. That is how far it has gone. So if a burglary goes bad or a home invasion goes bad, we could end up with a homicide. And the stealing of an automatic weapon that was designed for war to place in the hands of a criminal is very, very disturbing as to the mindset. And of course, I know that they're going to be doing a lot of retracking as to how we do our business. I've been advising on this, the processes, but it should be the police service, the prison service, and the Defense Force to review their whole aspect of weapon.
Well, it's interesting you say that, because the first thing that occurred to me when the press conference, but I got it on social media, and then the TT Defense Force had a press conference, is that, and someone told me who is Okura with the procedures, that the procedures involving the transfer of weapons and ammunition from the armory to individuals for legitimate duty is pretty stringent. You have to have a legitimate authority to accept the video, to the weapon and the ammunition. There's a particular amount of ammunition that you get for internal guard duty or for external duty. There is a particular requirement if you have to take a weapon out of the compound at Tetron or any of the army bases for authorization from higher up and for a particular purpose with the requisite amount of ammunition. So it was confusing to me how this private, because we now learned it's a private, got the authority to get this weapon out and then came back and reported it missing. I'm not sure if it's the same person who signed it out or who's been charged. We haven't gotten that much information, but I guess people are presuming it's that. And come back and say the weapon missing, because you're supposed to be responsible for that weapon until it's returned to the armory. Am I wrong or crazy to presume these things?
No, you're quite correct. And you laid it out nicely there, Pablo, because it is a very meticulous process regarding the issuing of a weapon or the returning of a weapon to the armory with specific signatories and authority. That we know that. And of course, the checks and balances that exist are above board. But we have to understand that we're not so much dealing with a meticulous process of oversight and control, what we call the guardrails. But what we are dealing with is really criminal mindset that has now infiltrated members of the defense force. So we have members of the defense force who are soldiers and sailors and airmen during the day, but associating themselves with criminal, what I'll call criminal individuals or the like in their downtime. And they have been lured into that lifestyle. And that is worrisome. And I know that the Chief of Defense Staff is paying attention to that. And we've heard even the Minister of National Security talking about, raising the volume on the vetting and the background checks. And those things are good initially. But as we speak right now, I saw recently a video of a robbery at the gas station in San Juan. Steve, your backyard, and the guy jumped out of the vehicle in camouflage uniform. So the same way guns and ammunition is being stolen, uniform also is being stolen. We heard about black SUVs with flashing blue lights. We are hearing about police. People in police uniform turning up at the go, legit looking police uniform. So it's not only the weapons. There are meticulous processes, just as you laid out, Pablo, but there are also criminal intent. And the criminal intent is studying the system. They are watching to see where the breaches are, where the complacencies are, in order to commit crimes within the confines of the defense force, the police service, and the prison service. So this weapon, the stealing of this weapon was not as we like to say sometimes erroneously, a crime of opportunity. Boy, a weapon left alone, I'll steal it. This was something that was put into place, and they studied how they were going to do this, and they also studied what they were going to do with it. What is very important is that the detection was made quite early, and after that, the intense investigations and intelligence architecture came into play, and they were able to retrieve the weapon. But the main thing is, I'll ask this question rhetorically, is this the last that we're going to see of items like this? Or is it going to happen again? Is it going to be a recurring factor? And that is worrisome.
Well, this wasn't the first time that something like this happened.
No, it's not. It wasn't.
No.
But in all cases, they have been retrieved, and that is good.
Yeah, but it's not the first time. So
No,
obviously,
it's not. And which means there will always be, that sort of think pattern, that mindset to commit a crime from within the confines of the defense force. And it's weapons. Remember, there are explosives down there. There are uniforms, vehicles. A lot of what we'll call apparatus that can be used in the criminal lifestyle or the criminal environment. And we have defense force personnel now who are thinking like criminals, and that is worrisome, who are dealing with gangs and showing them weapons and showing them how to use weapons and cleaning weapons and stuff. So we have to drive hard in order to eradicate that issue.
but
What is important now?
How
Go
did
ahead,
it
Steve.
leave the base?
Sorry?
How can someone leave the base with a rifle? That boggles my mind how he's able to come out with
Well,
it.
it's easy because he's authorized to lead the base with a rifle.
Is it
Well,
that simple?
You're entitled to be checked at the sentry points, as well as you won't be checked at the sentry points. So if your network is properly well oiled, you could probably drive out with a weapon hidden or concealed in a vehicle and nobody checks you. So that's just one way, one loophole. But as I said, they would have put things into thought as to how this weapon will be moved. Very stupid indeed, to be quite truthful. Where are you going with a weapon, high-powered weapon like that? It's sooner or later it's going to cause an uproar, and you're going to be the center of attention. Very, very stupid act. But criminals are stupid people. Some of them are very smart. I must say this. I'm not going to retract any statement, but that act, very stupid. And I think the Defense Force investigators prove the stupidity. I'm happy to hear that they are charged. I'm just hoping, I haven't heard the full charges, but I'm only hoping that I'm not hearing that people are on bail and back outside. I'm really hoping that I'm not hearing that. And I haven't heard.
No, they were denied bail. According to news report, they were denied bail.
Right, and it has to remain like that because they were involved in a conspiracy to commit murder by selling that gun. That's what they were doing. They were conspiring with a gangster to buy a gun to go and kill somebody. That's how they need to see it. They need to see the severity of the act. So
no, you can
a stealing weapon or misbehavior, and let us stop there. They were conspiring with somebody to commit murder.
What is important from the perspective of the TT Defense Force now in terms of their internal audits and what they should put in place to try to minimize this happening again?
Yeah, I think there needs to be a total review. They need to reenact is something that we had introduced a very long time ago. You reenact the whole thing. How did this start? Where did it start? Who was involved? Where did it pass? Who was you recreate the whole crime scene to see exactly where the loopholes might be. I in my column I wrote about smart gun technology. It's an out-of-the-box thinking. Yes, it's technologically driven, but we have reached a stage within Trinidad and Tobago, especially with that drive of digitization and being technologically driven across all ministries, to start considering probably the installation or the insertion of smart gun technology, which is technology that you can place on your weapons, insert, be it chips or not, that can track the weapon wherever it is. Can detect if the weapon is in the hands out of the hands of the handler, or if it has been left unattended, things like that. You get triggers, you get alerts. It sounds a bit far-fetched, but it exists and it has been used in the military and law enforcement. And because we want to safeguard and strengthen our layers of security, I would strongly advise that it be explored, see what are the working parts that might be applicable, and see how it can be used now in national security. The smart gun technology is an option that I would advise probably we could consider. As I said, we not be able to use the whole gambit of it, but there may be some areas inside of that smart gun technology utilization that might be applicable to our present domain.
What is the lesson for the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service from the way the TT Defense Force handled this?
Yeah, I think there needs to be a collaborative approach, and I said it, both prisons, the police, and the defense force in how we treat our business. What are the processes with our chain of custody? Because then some institutions might be very rigid and strict and regulated, and the firewalls are high. Some other institutions might be a bit slack, might not be so stringent. So I think the police service needs to escalate in how they do business, especially when it comes to weapon handling and chain of custody, and to ensure to know that the criminal element is not going to stop there. They are still going to try to infiltrate your service personnel. So therefore, there has to be an increased approach in how we treat with our vetting, our background, and of course, how we deal with rogue officers. So the police service at this point needs to see what were some of the quick wins and the lessons learned in the approaches with the defense force, and apply that also to their weapon handling, especially the chain of custody issuance and of course, the returning off. But I think we need to see a standardized approach across the table.
What about the trend?
Say again?
To me, one of the issues with this, which I appreciated with the TT Defense Force handling of this, was the responsiveness and the transparency. They didn't wait for misinformation and speculation to set in. They had a press conference very early. Every day or other day, they kept the public apprised of how the progress was going, that they were looking for this. Within a week, they found it. They had another press conference and information related to the finding and the apprehension of the two individuals who were suspects. So all the way through, the transparency level was very high. They admitted very early the weapon was missing and there was a breach, and all the way through till even this morning or yesterday, information is being disseminated in a timely manner to the public, because the issue of the public trust and confidence and respect for the TT Defense Force has always been higher than the TT Police Service. Let's not pretend, because of the way they operate, the way they execute operations, etc. And that's why I asked the question about what's the lesson for the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service from this, because they have had issues where weapons have gone missing, uniforms have gone missing, arms have gone missing, officers have been involved in illegal activity. But the public interface with this is not the same at all.
Correct. And I think we need to compliment. You're correct. You're quite correct, and I agree. The defense force in the media management aspect of it, and of course keeping the citizens informed. That is what the citizens want. They want to be informed. They want to be told what was taking place. You don't need to carry people into the bedroom, but you present to them information, and the progress is the approach that was taken when the NSOC, the NSOC, National Security Operations Center, was started, where there was a daily sort of update and a debrief. And of course, the NSOC graduated into the NOC. But that aspect of operations is where the military stands out, in that they are good at the media management. Maybe some more information could have been passed, yes, but I thought getting the citizens involved very early, sending out, for instance, the reward for any information concerning the return of the rifle, getting everybody, as we say in common lingo, lighting up the place. So they lighted it up and ensured that, everybody was on board with this missing gun, understood the severity of the issue, and the people were willing to pass information to confidential sources in order to retrieve it. A lot of retired ex-servicemen were very concerned, based on that point that you made, about the image of the Defense Force, the brand management of the Defense Force, how we are looking, because we are umbilically connected to the platform. And when things like this go wrong, we know how it feels. We are emotional about the brand and the image of the Defense Force. We're not looking good. And in order to restore that, there was a drive and what I'll call a resilience sort of approach to bring back that image. And I think
we are umbilically connected.
Yes, we are.
I like that.
But Gavin, that individual physically took the rifle. But then there's and let me go back to the Pennywise shooting. That it is alleged that it was the mastermind was somebody from inside barracks.
Yes.
So they have the different aspects of it.
But as I said, it's still criminal intent, a criminal mindset. So you have serving members of the Defense Force associating themselves with criminal elements, and whether it be the planning of a robbery, the allowance to use a vehicle, the do's and don'ts and SOPs of how to use a weapon.
Well, this is dangerous. This is very dangerous because we can assume that this person may have, and I stress may, like a jump on yourself, may have told criminals how much ammunition and arms and the types of ammunition and arms, may have told criminals the layout of the Tetran barracks, may have told criminals the procedures inside the TT Defense Force and how they operate regarding weapons and ammunition, may have given out sensitive information regarding national security operations that they may have been privy to. We have to presume all of that.
Yes, definitely.
And that to me is the frightening thing. When you can have someone associating, as you said, with criminal elements, plotting to take weapons out stupidly, because you're right, you had to be damn stupid to think the weapon wouldn't go missing, they wouldn't trace it back to you.
Correct.
You understand? And the intensity of the onslaught coming down on you in terms of retrieving that weapon. But the information that may have been disseminated to criminals, to me, is what is even more worrying.
Yeah, because that is not something that could be retrieved.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. That is information.
How should the Defense Force treat with that aspect of it?
Well, I think the approach of the investigations and proper handling of the questioning and the statements and building on the evidence is very important as to what was involved and who were involved, because maybe there are other working parts that we are not aware of as yet. Is also a part of how this process should unfold, because the passing of confidential information regarding the operations of the Defense Force or equipment, or more importantly, the planning stuff that go through, releasing that information into the hands of criminals is also a serious concern. And I therefore advise strongly that we look into those aspects of it, because it may just be the quiet, subtle sharing of information, or it may be the heavy stuff of actually uniforms or bulletproof vests or boots or guns, but in all, it is passing information to the criminal elements. And I think we need to review that and probably see how we are treating with that, see what's in the law, because the Chief of Defense Staff was keen on recognizing the law and how we operate. And I think at this point, we should have our JAG and all of our key decision makers reviewing the law to see how we are supposed to treat with the passing of confidential and operational information to criminal elements, and see how it can be covered, and more importantly, how it can be pursued for prosecution.
Do you expect shake-up inside? Because as Steve would have kind of intonated, someone may have dropped the ball at the security check when the weapon left the compound, and there may have been other shortcomings in the system inside Tetron Barracks.
Yeah, when incidents like this take place, I'll be all aware of it, of measuring efficiency and competencies from the corporate system. You also apply the same standardized SOPs into the defense force. You'll look at your review. Where did we go wrong? The after action report supposed to identify some of the lessons learned and some of the gaps. But more importantly, in your term of shake-up, there's a term that was used and continued to be used, and I hope it's still there in the defense force, called under my watch. And therefore, it should not only be that shake-up at the level of the probably middle management and below, or the non-commissioned officers and below. We need to go all the way up as to see under your watch this took place, and then we unfold the investigation going forward, because you may be the in charge of a section, or you may be the team leader of a specific unit or team. At this point around this situation, you have to be accountable and answerable to this, because it was under your watch. From way up as to the Chief of Defense Staff, he has to expose himself to a 360-degree evaluation under his watch, how these things, and from him going all the way down. And that is the type of shakeup we would like to see. That is the type of movement and transparency in adherence to the whole press conference and the release of information and keeping the citizens involved. We also would like to let the defense force know, and I don't see it as a citizen, but as a retired military officer, that let us see some sort of proper internal reviews has also taken place to avoid a reoccurrence of anything similar to this matter.
But the ironic thing about this is they came before a JSC 3 or 4 weeks ago, and questions were asked about ammunition that was reported to be on crime scenes with TT Defense Force insignia. And they had done 90% of an investigation and said all were accounted for. Fast forward 4 weeks and here we are. You know, and is it that we are going to get an audit of the amount of ammunition, because they said they recovered the rifle and a magazine? So is it a full audit will take place if anything else is missing?
And that is what I was talking about. The Chief of Defense Staff now has to be very transparent and declare probably an audit to ensure that we are where we say we are. Because sometimes you have your stats before you have your reports from your various departments and divisions, and you're going on what was given. But you also want to be that sort of make sure approach. So I think we need to probably see some sort of audit, yes, and through the Chief of Defense Staff and his office, he can demand that, and we can start a sort of cradle to grave coverage to ensure that what we are saying is in fact true. And if there are gaps and blind spots, what can we put in place in order to strengthen those firewalls, as I said before? The processes are there, the law is there, the practices, the training, everything is there. But sometimes we get into the habit of complacency, you know, and we drop the guard a little bit. And that is what the criminal looks for. He looks for when you are dropping the guard to make his move. And it is very, very important now to understand that we have been infiltrated. There has been a breach, and in order to stop that, we need to do a thorough coverage and sweep the defense force with a proper audit that can provide for us a confirmation that we are in a good place, or that there are blind spots and gaps that needs to be fixed.
But what would have happened last time? Because as I would have referenced, this is not the first time that this has happened. So what happened last time with all of the blind spots and all of the audits and all of that?
I think what would have happened the last time is that there was a round of applause. We complimented, the weapon was returned, and there were some checks and reviews that were taking place, and we were comfortable. But we have to understand that the environment changes on us incrementally, and therefore we have to. It was a different environment, and it's now we're in a volatile state. Now it has changed considerably, and we just can't be a start and stop. We retrieve the weapon and that is it. We retrieve the weapon, but we have to now go back and check thoroughly. And I am saying, I'm not too sure if that was done then, Rich. I am advising that at this time, and I understand, I've worked with the Chief of Defense Staff before. I understand how he thinks. He's a meticulous. He takes his time and he goes through his stuff before he makes his decisions. This is a good opportunity to exhibit, based on his leadership qualities, that he wants to see a thorough review of what would have taken place. It's the after action report needs to be comprehensive and give a sort of phase development in the process of what went down, but expand that investigative approach, expand the tentacles to see who else might have been involved, what was really going on, what was the social media leverage and dialogue that was taking place before and after, and start to look at who else might be of criminal intent inside of there, and maybe thinking along those lines. And the reviewer can bring that out. It is going to be a total sort of sweep, because we can't afford to be walking on eggshells, and something like that just breaks again. It puts the whole institution in disarray, and it hits hard at the image and the heart of the defense force. And I know, in order to maintain that image of superiority and trust and confidence that was gained based on how the transparency was exhibited, that review I call for strongly, and an audit from the instruction of the Chief of Defense Staff.
May I move to the TC Police Service and crime fighting on the ground?
Yes, you can, but I only have 10 more minutes.
All right, that's all right. Appreciate it. The end of June is approaching. The erstwhile Commissioner of Police had, in an appearance a while ago, indicated that we should see significant improvements by the end of June. I think she may have dialed that back a bit, but people are still looking forward to improvements. We had, according to what I read in the newspaper, 6 murders in the last weekend alone. I think we're above or close to 260 so far. And I'm not celebrating this because somebody go jump out themselves and say I'm celebrating. I'm just giving data to indicate where we are and if we're improving or not improving. And I saw a newspaper report this morning. There's a crime symposium up at University of Southern Caribbean where a visiting U.S. criminologist indicated that, in his opinion, there's no data to support that the Venezuelans are the main contributors to crime in Trinidad and Tobago, or the criminality we're seeing. But there has been confirmation that a significant transnational criminal element is involved. Do you think we're making headway in dismantling the nexus between transnational criminals and the gangs doing most of the damage in this country?
No, because no, we are not. We can actually. I spoke at the symposium yesterday evening. So I was there, and when Professor Wexler made the point, and there is a linkage with transnational organized crime to the ground in Trinidad and Tobago, as far and as deep as even into the bowels of the gangs. And we are not treating with transnational organized crime in the way that it needs to be treated. And we are kind of focused really on the homicides and the home invasions and the drive-bys and the carjackings. Yes, we understand that. But we have to understand that there is and I say this guardedly, there's a power and an authority that is controlling all of that. And that's transnational organized crime. And that is the linkage of what is happening in our local terrain to international issues. When guns are brought in here in this country, that's an aspect of transnational organized crime. And those guns are then placed into a dealer, and that dealer distributes or sells or rents or whatever, however it's operated. I'm not that connected to the underworld, to be used on the streets to commit a crime. But it started with a transnational organized crime transaction, and human trafficking, drugs, all of the issues that we see, contraband, legit import, export, trade, white collar crime that we like to talk about that is not really being addressed as it is, corruption, all of those issues, facilitation in key offices. When we see all of those things taking place, it filters down into the tributaries of criminal activity on the ground. The guy robbing the mini-mart or the grocery store with high-powered weapons, or that drive-by with a car waiting, is trying to get money for some sort of international criminal intent, be it to purchase a gun or to purchase drugs or to control his stuff. And now, because the demand is no longer a pistol, if you're in a gang, to have 2 or 3 pistols or 9mm revolvers. The demand is to get the Air Jordans of weapons. Otherwise, you're not considered.
But it is interesting that you said the professor said that the Venezuelans are not primarily involved. But it just occurred to me that we saw a newspaper report just late last week, that a huge cache of boxes of weapons was intercepted, and a Venezuelan national was associated with that.
Yeah, and then just about a week or two before, a large quantity of marijuana was seized, and a Venezuelan too was on the vessel. So there is a percentage. I don't agree fully with what he said. There is a percentage of the migrant population that are involved in criminal activity, that were involved in criminal activity on the mainland in Venezuela, and have also brought that activity over into Trinidad and Tobago. So there is now in country the formation of Venezuelan gangs, and that is into protecting in their own Venezuelan communities. That is taking place, and I'm hoping that the law enforcement is paying attention to this new form of criminality that is taking place. Because the same way someone will want an electrician or a landscaper or a mason or a nail tech or hairdresser, is the same way the criminal element in Trinidad know where to find and locate Venezuelan criminals who are also here on the ground. So part of that migrant population also has a criminal percentage over here in country. So he's not totally right. A part of the Venezuelan migration has seen an infiltration onto the ground here of Venezuelan migrants who have criminal intent, who are involved with their criminal gangs back in Venezuela, who are representing here in Trinidad, and who are forming up their own gang platforms right here in Trinidad. So we have to pay attention to that. He was also alluding to the point of from an international perspective, migrants are really coming over for trying to make a new life and the economy and asylum, and trying to build a life of their own, leaving one border into the next. And we understand that. But we are also saying that part of that coming over to build a life are those who are fleeing a certain lifestyle in Venezuela of criminal activity, and have seen that there are greener pastures over here in Trinidad where we could continue our behavior, activity, and criminal intent.
A very direct question for you next. Does the Trinidad and Tobago Police Service possess the expertise to really make a difference in interdicting these gangs and dismantling these gangs in a sustainable manner and breaking up the operations? And I ask the question because when you look at other jurisdictions that have had success, New York, at some point in the UK, various of the areas in the UK, they had to shake up the police service in those jurisdictions. They had to shake up the NYPD. They had to shake up the London police service and really just reorganize it and bring in expertise from different areas who may not have been contaminated or maintain the status quo. Does the TT police service have the requisite expertise to do that, to really dismantle these gangs? And I'm not trying to say it to diminish the public perception of the TT police service. I'm looking at the track record over the last 15 or so years, where it doesn't seem to be getting better. It seems to be getting worse.
I want to answer your question by just going back a little bit in history. There was a time in this country when we had faced the threat and the fear of kidnappings. The business fraternity, families, ordinary citizens, there was a fear as though the kidnapping had taken over this country. And it was brought to a halt with the same police service. But in addition to the police service was the support, the intelligence, the resources, the manpower that came from the Special Anti-Crime Unit of Trinidad and Tobago. So I'm saying that the police service has to admit that, you know what, we need some, I like how you put it, expertise to shake up and to rearrange and re-engineer. we need some expertise and some support in order to treat with the gang warfare. A direct concentrated approach, as there was a direct concentrated approach when it came to the kidnapping. Not to say that the ordinary unit and the task forces are also dealing with the gangs. No, a specific system enforced with the resources and the intelligence and the expertise alongside the police service to deal with the dismantling of the gangs, and it can be done. And the primacy and what is known as the authority on that remains with the police service. But I have not seen or heard the police service saying, you know what, we need that sort of support now to drive that agenda on dismantling the gangs. I haven't heard that. But I'm saying that there is a capability. What is needed is capacity building in order to treat with it.
I have a question for Beauty Culture, one of our viewers on YouTube who asked the question. Mr. Hero, with the amount of arms and weapons we are seeing in our country, does the possibility of another planned 1990 exist?
I'm unable to see that because I'm not privy to the intelligence, but what I can say is that all of our law enforcement and state agencies within national security has to be very concerned on the type of firepower that is out there in the hands of these gangsters, because somebody could work on an ideology and get a group of armed young men to treat with a certain issue, should it reach to that stage. And we have to be concerned about. I'm not picking up, based on how I deal with my research or some of the other areas that we would operate in, whether there is some sort of pushback against the government or some sort of political coup being planned. I'm not hearing or seeing or feeling that. And I can be totally wrong because I'm not exposed as some of the other agencies, nor am I equipped. But what I can say, as a citizen, as a former military officer, as a law enforcement, as a security expert, I am very concerned that there's heavy firepower and ammunition in the hands of personnel out there who could be turned at a moment's notice based on an ideology to commit something against the state. And that is very worrying. What
does that mean? You say that they have the arms and ammunition in their hands, but they can be turned. Does that mean they possess these arms and ammunition legally and they can be turned ideologically? I don't understand.
No. Meaning that there are illegal arms and ammunition in the hands of criminals. Mm-hmm. And a criminal sees one thing, the dollar bill. So if someone is paid the right amount of money, they will consider committing a crime. And they could consider a group of men armed, receiving the right amount of money, attacking a business place, attacking a state agency, trying to send a message. And I'm saying that is worrisome because there are people outside there who might go to the extreme of using the criminal element with tactics like that. And that is where
you're talking about the criminal element being co-opted to commit terrorist acts. Is that what you're suggesting?
Not necessarily terrorist acts, Pablo. But what I'm saying is that if someone pays the right amount of money, criminals will act. And there are tactics out there that they will be used to instill fear, to send a point home. And that is where it's concerned. I'm not talking about a coup.
Instilling fear and sending a point home is the definition of terrorism. Sending fear, instilling fear in the population is terrorism.
Well, correct.
If it's not money and you want to instill fear and intimidate the population, that is terrorism.
Yeah, well, terrorism is also involved with an ideology and a belief and a fact. And what I'm talking about is criminals being used to activate or to achieve that objective. If you want to define it as terrorism, that's fine. I'm not gonna do that.
If I'm a criminal, I don't want money or have some other objectives. I ain't get an illegal gun to keep it under my bed.
Correct.
I get it to either rob somebody to make money, or to kidnap somebody to make money, which is illegal, or protection, or to instill fear in the population through some ideology or some other intention. To me, that is terrorism.
Well, I think it's a good point that is worth being explored further to see whether or not these guys are already tiptoeing into that realm, and maybe something that.
But then, how could they be tiptoeing into that realm and we not know about it? But all of the billions of dollars that we spend on on national security infrastructure.
Exactly.
What is our
Exactly.
intelligence
That is
why-
capability? Since we have a historical past that has experienced A, B, and C, why would we not have enough intelligence apparatus to prevent something like that happening?
Yeah, well, I'm not saying that we don't. I'm saying that we do, and I hope that it is being refocused to do exactly what Paul and I have been discussing, to see whether there's any other thing like that being picked up. And you're correct, Rich. A lot of money is spent on the apparatus. So is the apparatus telling us what we need to hear? Because it is a cause for concern. What else are these gangs thinking about? What else are these gangs doing? Because when you look at the Haiti situation, you are telling yourself, I don't want us to get there. But the gangs are running the show, and of course it's instilling fear, and some people may define it as even terrorist activity. And sometimes these things, they influence behavior in other spaces. So I think our intelligence needs to be refocused a little bit and zoned in to ensure that we are receiving the information that is going to tell us the story, so that there can be proper operational, what I'll call operation moves to quell that or to bring that under control. And that falls right back into the first question that Pablo would have asked regarding the infiltration or the dismantling of the gangs, to bring this thing under control and to break it down. Guys, I have 1 more minute, so...
I know.
Let me ask you a quick question here, Gavin. The U.S. has now decided to donate 2 aircrafts to Trinidad and Tobago Air Guard to put in their fleet. Do you think that will make a dent in any which way? And the management of the Air Guard when it comes to those aircrafts?
Well, I haven't heard about the type of aircraft.
I haven't heard about the type either. Yeah.
Say again?
I haven't heard about the type.
Yeah, so I think very important is to learn the type and the capabilities. I see it once we have additional assets and resources. I'm hoping that part of that acquisition will also be parts and maintenance, because sometimes you get machines to fly and something breaks on it and an aircraft is grounded or down for a screw. So I'm hoping that whoever is negotiating and dealing with this is also speaking about parts, maintenance, and training. But more importantly, it will also enhance our capabilities for our border control and our territorial patrol and the maritime border that we have to patrol. So and to deal with search and rescues, it could also be able to assist in the times of disaster preparedness and management with some of the other islands. So additional resources at this time is acceptable, but please review the maintenance, the training, and also the parts aspect of it, that whole supply chain that will deal with keeping these aircraft in the air, and more importantly, the capabilities of these aircraft, and of course, to enhance, now utilize them, factor them in. It's a good opportunity now to review our BCM, our Border Control Management Plan, and see how we can utilize these aircraft in tandem to our vessels on the ground and our radars and our intelligence apparatus, back to Richard's point, to ensure that we can, boost
and don't let nobody run them into rocks like some of the ships.
Yeah. Do you think, another question, do you think the entry level into our protective services should be raised?
Yes, I think
requirement with a salary to match.
No, I agree. The criteria needs to be changed and looked at, and we need to start instituting certain types of training, foreign language training and AI training, and that's probably an interview by itself, needs to also be instituted in certain aspects of the military now, and the police and prison service. All of our...
Are you crazy? They don't want to wear body cam, they go to AI training. They're still training to use body cam.
Yeah, well, we told that there's a pilot project, so we're hoping that we can get a report on that.
Like the pilot going to sleep.
Yeah. Well, guys, I have to go.
My final question to you, and you raised it earlier on, whereas when it comes to white collar crime and why that is not being looked at seriously, you spoke about the seizure of goods or the marijuana in Chagaramas. Somebody had to pay for that. Somebody had to pay big bucks for that.
Yeah, and that's somebody.
These are just the drivers.
That somebody might be in Trinidad. So we've seen where the technology is being used in transnational organized crime. I'm going to make a closing point here. I am advocating and advising and calling for CARICOM to consider the establishment of a CBI, a CARICOM Bureau of Investigations, that parallels itself to the FBI. So we will have jurisdiction across the island states. We will also be able to deal with the high-level crimes of corruption, and in government offices and transnational organized crime and the small arms and light weapons trade, where just the divisions of the police service can deal with the internal public security and public safety, and the CBI, the CARICOM Bureau of Investigations, will be with that elite sort of joint police system that has access across CARICOM, across the islands, to treat with high-level crime. That is where we've reached.
Are you being shut down on that comment, or is it being accepted?
I'm not too sure how far it has reached, but I am going to continue to make the advocacy for it, because people need to understand that we are at a different level now in the region, and we can't always be flicking the switch on dependency on the big brother nations. We have to start showing that we have a capability of self-sufficiency when it comes to national security. There will be a need for support, I believe, always with our big brother nations, but we have to show that over the years, we now have a capability of doing certain things on our own. We could model, we could parallel against what is existing outside there, but show that we have the capacity and the capability to do it on our own with the self-sufficiency of national security planning. And the CBI, the CARICOM Bureau of Investigations, is a good place to start.
Wonderful.
Gavin, thanks so much.
Thank you, Gavin.
Right.
Always a pleasure speaking with you. Have a great day. Be safe.
Thank you very much. God bless.
All the best to you. Thank you, Gavin Hira, Commander Gavin Hira, for being with us on the Power Breakfast Show this morning. Interesting conversation there, gentlemen.
No, nothing we haven't said for the last 15 years.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, maybe we should do a poll on that. Should there be a CBI? You know, I believe he's right.
A CBI? What's the CBI?
That's what Gavin just spoke about. Caribbean Bureau of Investigations, or CARICOM Bureau of Investigations.
Well, they have Caribbean impacts, which kind of focus on national security throughout the region, if I'm not mistaken. So it kind of exists in a way already.
Well, we should have told Gavin that.
Would I have to tell him everything?
We just spoke about it.
7:57, 7:58. Shall we open the phone lines for the last 2 minutes?
We could get a comment or two. Give us a call quickly before we head into news. Of course, we'll take your calls next hour. I'm actually going to try and call this gentleman who's down south and trying to rescue some folks. I'll try and get him on. Yeah, Meb is saying one good thing is that the Army did is that they immediately locked down Tetron Barracks. Yes, they did. Immediately. And that was after, I believe it was after 12:30 in the morning or something like that. Yeah. All right, let's grab some calls. Good morning, caller.
Morning, gentlemen.
Good morning.
Yes. No, it's quite surprising. Most of what you discussed this morning with Commander here, right? That no reference was made to the recent CARICOM summit. And especially no reference made to the Prime Minister's address, which was 2 hours yesterday, that dealt with the issues that you all raised in terms of the agreement with the cooperation with the United States, in terms of setting up the forensic center, also with reference to dealing with transnational crime, and in addition to a commitment to the legislation from the United States that will aid the government of Trinidad and Tobago and also the other CARICOM issues, because this is not isolated only to Trinidad, but throughout the Caribbean. And it's quite surprising that Commander Hira, and somebody who usually appraises of these things, had made no mention of it at all.
That's why we have you here.
Well, I guess so, right? So I think that it, in other words, it cheated us. I think that when we're doing this kind of interviews, that maybe we should have a little more put it into context, because most of what you're seeing or asking for has already been agreed with and looking forward to, right? And I hope that you all will address that or inform the public of it more, which is what the Prime Minister was saying yesterday, that a lot of misinformation has been circulated on media And it's quite interesting that no person is talking about it yesterday, which has real benefits to Trinidad and Tobago in dealing with crime later on. All right? Thanks.
All right. Thank you, caller. All right. We'll open up the lines. The other